Hi, welcome to the Carvel community meeting. Today's date is September 23rd, 2021. If you are watching this from home, we would love to have you come join us live. We meet every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, and it's an opportunity for you to come and listen in on what the team is working on, provide live feedback. You can just lurk and listen. You don't have to engage, or if you have any questions on how to use any of the tools in the Carvel tool suite, we are here to help you. If you aren't able to join us and still would like to engage with the team, you can find us on the Carvel Slack channel on the Kubernetes Slack workspace. And if you don't already have access to the Kubernetes Slack workspace, you can request an invitation to get access. Also, you can find us on Twitter at Carvel_dev. And when you are engaging with a team, whether it be in this meeting, on Slack, Twitter, or GitHub, we ask that you please read and abide by our code of conduct. When you do attend these meetings, we would like to have you listed out here as an attendee for the meeting. So just put your name and any organization that you are representing. And also, we would love to know how you are actually using any of the Carvel tool suite. So we have this pinned issue that asks the question, are you using Carvel? And you just need to simply input a comment with these specific details, and we can know more about your usage as well as help promote your organization by having a logo listed out on our adopters page. Okay, next up we have announcements. Just a reminder, we do have a keynote at KubeCon Cloud Native Con North America this year. It's a 5-minute keynote, short and sweet. You're welcome to attend either virtually or in person. We have blog posts that we also posted on the website that goes a little bit more in detail of what to expect for this keynote, and a little bit more information on Carvel if you're new to Carvel, as well as how to attend KubeCon. Next up, we have a couple of releases. We have image package 0.19 and 0.18. Looks like some bug fixes and on top of 0.18. Anybody want to go over these?
Yeah, I can go over it. So 0.18.0 introduces yet another way to authenticate with image package. Specifically, if you're running it within the context of an IaaS or a VM, or even Kubernetes offering on an IaaS, and you have a setup to inject your service account or your credentials through that IaaS, image package will pick it up, and there's documentation added to help understand how that works. And then there's also if you're back on 18 real quickly, there's also an environment variable added. So the image package registry hostname environment variable, which is one of the ways to authenticate, it's now more permissive, meaning before you could only provide a hostname, but now you can provide the scheme, so http://hostname with a port, with v1, v2 being optional, and it now supports glubbing as well. And then 19 is just bug fixes essentially. When we introduced the IaaS, it kind of broke the ordering of Docker config over CLI flags, and it also didn't know how to read the cred store. So those two things have been fixed.
Great, thanks, Dennis. Next up, we have KBuild release 0.31.
Yeah, this one we've been kind of eagerly awaiting. So there's a couple of headlines here. Probably at the top is the inclusion of now Bazel. You can use Bazel to produce your containers. You can integrate with KBuild to direct Bazel to do that. It's very exciting. Appreciate Charlie and crew for contributing that. And then also there's a breaking change to note. Don't worry, it's just in the sections that were annotations on any resources. Was called metas, but now we're using the term we feel is a little bit more telling. It's called origins. It's describing from where your images are coming from. It's not a guarantee. It's not like provenance, but it is definitely a record as best as the tool knows where images came from. And then that leads to the other marquee bit, which is now we ensure that information is included in your image package lock files. When they're included in the image package lock files, we make sure that propagates into your deployment. So the resources running on your Kubernetes cluster now enjoy having that origin annotation. The images annotation has the origin information in it. That'll often include like the tag, if it's from a registry, or even the Git SHA if it was built from source from a Git repo. So very excited about 0.31. A reminder, in 0.30, there were a couple of features, packaging, unpackaging, and relocation, that were deprecated, and we're looking to remove those soon. So if you're using KBuild right now to relocate your images, we strongly encourage you to start to move over to image package. You can do all that same work with that, and it's, as you can see, much better, much richer set of features. So start to make that migration soon.
Awesome. Thanks, John. All right, on to vendor 0.23. Anybody want to go over this one?
This one's, I guess, a pretty like simple enhancement here, but kind of like it calls out, provides the ability to extract username and password from the auth field if a password field is empty. As it's calling out here, it's taking place in the Docker config JSON. So it's just another way to kind of support authentication, essentially.
Got it. Thanks, Aaron. All right, and then we got kapp-controller. We're at 25.
Yeah, so this is taking bumps from all the other things that we just mentioned. So maybe like the one that is, I think like most requested was the KBuild change that John had mentioned. So this is where you will actually get those updated tags on your deployed Kubernetes resources. Other cool ones to call out is this new metric for monitoring the reconcile status. Thank you to I don't know, I'm not sure who that is exactly, mhoshi VM, but appreciate the contributions there. And then we also had some kind of bug fixes user experience improvements with that last one regarding the disallowing of accidental downgrades of a package install.
Cool. Thanks, Aaron. All right, on to status updates. And also just a reminder, if you do have anything you wish to discuss while we're in this meeting, please be sure to add that down below in the discussion topics section. All right, so we got a few things listed out in the project roadmap. Anybody want to go over what to expect from the team coming up?
I don't know if there's anything too specific to call out. Image package, we do still have like a pretty well populated prioritized backlog of issues that we're addressing. I don't know if there's necessarily a theme to all of those prioritized issues. They're just kind of like general improvements to current functionality, as well as addressing some bugs. Regarding KAP, as called out here, the cluster fulfilled resources is a next feature that's being focused on for the next release. So that's an exciting one. I know that that's one that we've kind of had an eye on for some time. Other than that, the YTT schema as Open API schema work is in implementation right now. I don't know if there's any like thing that's noteworthy there, other than like we're kind of chugging along away there. And then kapp-controller, dependency management upgrade scenarios. We are about to kick off the proposal process there. So be on the lookout as we, intend to draft that in public. And if you have any thoughts on this, we certainly welcome your contributions.
Great, thanks, Aaron. Does anybody have anything else to add before we move on? Okay, you got Carvel Backlog outside of the roadmap. Is anybody working on anything this week in particular that they want to shout out about? Nope. All right. Okay, on to discussion topics. Aaron, do you want me to stop sharing my screen? And
I'd be happy to let Nick go first, as
Okay.
my topic is maybe, I don't know, not as interesting to everyone.
Okay, yeah, sure, I can talk about that. So I added an issue for image package. As you can see in the title, push can optionally add a unique tag. Maybe optionally is it could just always add a unique tag, as Dimitri suggested. But basically, the situation that's occurring is, OCI registries can perform a garbage collection process where any untagged image is basically cleaned up and deleted. So this could, this has actually bitten us recently. Basically we would like push a package out and tag it like version 123, and then that package gets linked. Actually, if you scroll down just a little bit in here, yeah, there we go. Maybe we have a nice little diagram like showing like what's going on. So we create a package and it's got a SHA, and then we reference that package in a package repo. And then it's like, oh, we have to like make a change to that package. So we change the package, push a new one, and then we reuse the same tag, like version 123. So it gets moved from the old SHA to the new SHA. But our package repo is still referencing the SHA from the original package. Well, then garbage collection comes along and cleans up that original SHA, and then anyone that's still using that original, or that's using our package repo, they'll no longer be able to install any package whatsoever. So one of the solutions is to just make sure that all of our packages always have a tag, and so the idea is if we push with image package, and if image package was to always just add like maybe some sort of default tag, which could be a SHA, could be a timestamp, could be really anything, basically just guaranteeing that there's always a tag on the image, then that would prevent garbage collection from cleaning things up.
Yeah, I haven't had time to triage it, but it does make sense. I mean, when we do a copy, we already have a tag created, and we have a special kind of suffix that goes with it, and it helps. It helps with replication logic that other registries like Hybrid depend on. Actually, yeah, this one, yeah, the dot image package, what Dimitri commented. So always doing it, maybe doing something similar to what copy does to make it consistent. When we do a push, makes sense. Like I said, I haven't triaged it, but just looking at it generally here, it sounds like it makes a ton of sense and a ton of value.
And I imagine it would probably be pretty easy.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption.
So
And go for it.
I was just gonna say, so it might be another good first issue.
Yeah, like after the debug flag, or maybe in parallel, if you wanted to tackle it, or you wanted some help to tackle that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be good to work with.
Yeah. Cool.
This is great. Thanks for capturing this, Nick. And yeah, especially the garbage collector. I think I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
Well, I'll admit, I did not do the diagram. That was actually Josh Rosso. He did that.
Josh.
He's a wizard with Miro. So
All right, thanks, Nick, for sharing that. Anything else to add to this before we move on? Okay. All right, Aaron, you're up. Do you want to take over screen now?
Yeah, sure. I can do that. Yes, so I mainly just wanted to create some space to discuss the issue triage process, go over some proposed label updates, but then also just see if people have general questions around this. So, feel free to drop if this is not interesting to you, but that's kind of what I wanted to discuss here. So let me open this issue triage process. So this is captured here in the Carvel repo under the processes directory. And at a high level explains, what is issue triaging? Why is it important? Who does this? When do we do this? And how do we do it? I'm happy to go through all of this, but if people are generally familiar with, I guess, the what, why, then I'd be happy to focus more so on like the how piece of it. I don't know, any preferences? Do folks, is this new for folks, or are we okay to go deeper quickly? Got a couple thumbs up, some other, all right, 3 thumbs up. So maybe I'll just try to breeze through some of these things. So generally triaging is the way that we're trying to review, respond, and organize our GitHub issues and pull requests. At a high level, we try to, ensure that we are engaging with folks that are creating issues, as we certainly do appreciate, people reaching out and reporting these things to us. And ideally, I would love to be able to get issue triagers to the point where they're comfortable making decisions on trying to categorize, respond, and categorize these issues. So, at a first level, it is probably just like understanding, what's being asked, and depending on what that is, just labeling it appropriately, like what kind of type of issue, kind of issue this is, like a bug, enhancement, as well as trying to assign a priority level. And being able to assign a priority level, I think, is something that issue triagers may not be comfortable with immediately, but I do want to make more of this capability like spread throughout issue triagers, and also have these prioritization discussions just generally in the open, like on these issues, so that people can learn more about like how we're thinking about these and why we're making the prioritization decisions that we are. So I guess, why is this important? Like we want to promote a responsive and inclusive community. We want to make sure that people enjoy using our tools and interacting with the folks that work on it. As I mentioned, providing transparency, being able to build up individuals' ability to make decisions. Having a bit of the structure, we do hope will speed up issue management as well, as we can just kind of like quickly filter things and have more effective like views of the backlog, as well as it'll help just kind of build the general prioritization capabilities of individuals, but also the team, so that when I'm looking at issues, if someone has already kind of had a way to label it and a priority, it just kind of skips a couple of steps, which just speeds everything a bit along. So any questions so far? All right, so I'm going to drop down to the how section. And how is generally kind of, well, 3 primary steps are called out here. So the first one is responding to newly created issues and PRs. And this one's a bit straightforward. It's responding to anything new that comes in, like 1, to acknowledge folks for their contributions, but then 2, to figure out like, what should we be doing? How are we going to respond to this? We have a couple steps here. As I mentioned, there's assigning a kind label, assigning a priority label, and then depending if it's a PR versus an issue, would also then either assigning a reviewer, whether that's you yourself or even like mentioning a reviewer so that they're aware that this has come in. And that's just a way to try and nudge things along a bit quicker. Then these next couple steps are really just like getting into more of the nitty-gritty details of if you're selecting what kind of kind. This is kind of hard to see with my black background, but this is an enhancement section, whereas this one down here is a bug. So the idea for enhancement is to really to understand the ask here that is being requested. And generally that means, if any information is missing, or there's some ambiguity, trying to drive that to enough of a definition for at this moment. It certainly doesn't have to be to the point where, it's like acceptance criteria level, until we want to prioritize it. Once we want to prioritize it, then I would say that's definitely more of a requirement, is having more of that definition. But generally, there's a couple of issues that are called out here of moving the label from Carvel triage to Carvel accepted, applying the good first issue label when appropriate. But yeah, these are just things to kind of check the box through as you are triaging these. With a bug, I think the primary difference here is being able to replicate the issue. And as long as we're able to replicate it, then it kind of follows the same steps here. So being able to replicate is almost the same as fully understanding the ask. It's just making sure we totally understand the bug that's being mentioned. And then the kind of final step here is defining the priority, which understandably can be a challenging thing, especially for folks that haven't done a lot of this yet. So we tried to provide descriptions and some examples, certainly open to feedback or contributions of ways that we can clear up these explanations. But we have these 5 categories at a high level. There's the critical urgent, things that we want to tackle very quickly, things that we're probably even going to, potentially drop what we're working on and have someone assigned to it. Important soon, I kind of view that as more as like what's up next in our prioritized backlog. It doesn't have to necessarily be dropped, but things that we're probably working towards in the next release. Important long-term, that's just a little bit further out. So things that we are planning to prioritize for the maintainers team, and things that we will likely get to, say, I don't know, within a quarter or 2. Unprioritized backlog, these are ones that are not currently planned for the maintainers team to work on, but we do see the value in having these things. So these are actually like really good things for, if someone was to submit an issue and it gets the unprioritized backlog, if you question the decisions that are made, please feel free to have that conversation in the GitHub issue. But generally, what this means is like we agree that this is useful. It's just not something that is going to be prioritized immediately. So these are things where we would welcome contributions on. And then the last one is awaiting more evidence. So this is one where, kind of like the label says, we're not yet sure if this is something we want to bring into the tool, or we don't yet know enough about the request. So it's more of a placeholder, but it's a bit of a, it's not quite a commitment that it's something that we would accept even if a contribution was given. So I'll pause there and see if anyone has any, I don't know, general questions about this process or thoughts, feedback. Cool. I'm taking that as it's clear and people understand. And then yeah, looks like about a month ago, started thinking about kind of like our next iteration of just like making label updates to make these issues just like easier to filter and sort and track. And I kind of have like another like aspiration of like building out more specific like dashboards to make these things even easier to track outside of ZenHub. But we came to the idea of updating the like our schema that we're using for labels. So the prioritization labels already follow this, where it's kind of like the category name and then a category option. But so we wanted to roll this out to some of the other areas where we haven't yet applied this. So this is specifically talking about kind. And right now we just haven't, we don't have this prefix. So with things like enhancement, bug support, I believe already exist. Ops is a new one, and this is more to capture like the engineer focused, maybe non, product value type of work. So that's one that we wanted to introduce. And also this is a bit more consolidated because we also proposed that we would include the dependency bumps under enhancement, whereas currently we do have a separate dependency label. John and I had some good discussions about potentially talking about state of an issue. And I think there's a lot more conversation that can be had there. So we just kind of tabled that for right now and trying to lean more so on like these ZenHub like lanes, columns and such. But that is definitely an interesting conversation I'd like to continue in the future. But these feel like a little less controversial, but wanted to see if anyone had feedback on any of this.
Perhaps unsurprising, I actually had an issue yesterday that I wish I had the kind ops because that was the most appropriate. It was something about like the total test suite for KBuild runs too slowly. Want to improve that. It's not a feature per se of the product, but it's a valuable thing. So yeah.
When I was reading about when I was hearing you talk about the kind label, for example, kind enhancement, kind bug, I was thinking this is something we apply to GitHub issues, but then seeing that we're thinking about including this to dependent bumps, which are PRs, wondering what the value of assigning these labels to PRs are.
I think like another aspiration of mine is to have, I guess, a better idea of like the investments we're making as a team and like the work that comes through, so we can kind of see like what are the different buckets of work. And I guess that's where, I don't know, accepted PRs, enhancements would take up this particular, section of the pie versus maybe ops work. So I guess that's where it's still work that is in the pipeline, but and work that we have done. That's, I think, the best justification that comes to mind for me.
Sometimes the PR represents a super lightweight issue that happens to have the code in it sometimes. So I don't necessarily separate them out always in my head. So I don't know if that's helpful too.
Okay, so this is for like in the future, we want to know where we're investing our time and effort. If we're like spending a lot of time fixing bugs or whether it's enhancements or whatnot in terms of thinking about it from a PR perspective.
Yeah, I think that one's just sort of incidental. Like Dependabot doesn't create an issue, it creates a PR.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because like it just takes time to like apply the right label to the PRs. So I'm just wondering what do we get out of doing that by doing it a bit of additional work, updating PRs with the right label. So when the Dependabot PRs come in, updating it with the right label, I'm wondering like why am I doing that? And it's potentially to have a more insight about where we're spending our work from an engineering perspective.
Yeah, and if we are creating overhead like that is great feedback. Definitely intend for this to be like lightweight. So like I guess I had an assumption that we could calibrate whatever Dependabot is like the label that's being used. If that's not true, then that's a bummer. But yeah, certainly any ways we can automate all this would be great. If you're interested in seeing how like, I don't know, like Kubernetes, the way that they do all their triaging, they have bots that are very well like customized for their entire process. And I think it's very heavy weight compared to what we need, but that's just like a glimpse into like ways that we could automate bits and pieces of this if we find this to be, creating a lot of headache. But yeah, good question. Anyone else have any questions?
I have a question on the current state. So everything in the proposal in the Carvel repo is the process that we should follow right now. But these labels, they don't yet exist. Is that correct? When will we start using them?
Yeah, so I think it's primarily just these kind labels don't exist in this particular format. I could like work on this probably tomorrow and like roll that out to the different repos. If folks are in support of this.
So this would be like going back through all of the issues labeled bug and changing label from bug to kind to bug, right?
Oh, so I would just update the existing label, so it should apply everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Although that does bring up a different activity of retroactively applying these labels everywhere, because we do have a number of issues that don't have these yet, but we'll save that topic. And yeah, hopefully none of this is like too wild or creates too much overhead. It is largely inspired by Kubernetes process, but abbreviated. Any other thoughts, concerns? Okay, cool. So yeah, like I said, I'll probably then try to do this tomorrow, and I'll submit the changes, the PRs for any of the GitHub actions, but then I'll just like change the labels directly, since I don't think there's a way to submit a PR for that piece of it. Cool. Well, thank you all for that then.
Awesome. All right. Before we part ways, is there anything else that has popped up that folks want to talk about? Nope. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining this week's edition of the Carvel community meeting. Again, we meet every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, and we would love for you to come and join us live and provide feedback and ask for help. We're eager to meet folks from the community and would love to have you join. Until next time, thanks everyone.
Bye.